think your question was, how does it make you feel
Yep.
if there's bad conflict? One of the things is our natural tendency is to feel defensive. Okay, and the minute someone comes at us with a conflict situation, and you mentioned this during your opening piece, is that we have a tendency to start making up our defense argument before the person has even finished talking. Okay, so one of the things is to always be a listener first. Okay, so because you're going to feel defended, like wanting to build your argument back, and that's not the aim. Okay, so even just keeping in mind just a couple of principles, like one is to make sure that both parties or all parties involved know what the actual conflict is. Okay, sometimes that's an unknown, right? Sometimes there's a passive aggressiveness that comes in, okay, and this like pressure cooker is building up in people, right? That's unhealthy conflict, okay? And so that's when you feel like, okay, I've got to walk on eggshells in this situation. I've got to figure out how to navigate when you really could just have a conversation. So if you feel that passive aggressiveness starting to build up, it's because it's not being addressed. So one is making sure everybody knows what the conflict is, and that both parties are seeking understanding first and foremost. Again, when you're trying to, build your defense argument first and foremost because you want to like stand up for yourself and like, well, this is why I did it and this is what I'm trying to say, you're not listening to what the real concern is. So slow the conversation down to a point of, okay, let's make sure we understand each other first. Okay, before we get into reconciling the issue, let's understand what the issue is, but also let's understand where each other's coming from. So I always encourage people, take time to even paraphrase what the other person's saying. Let me make sure I've got this. Let me make sure I understand. You said this. Did I get that right? And then you never want to enter a conflict resolution conversation until you're actually ready to have resolution. Okay? A lot of us kind of go into conflict just wanting to state what we feel like is important. You know, we want to kind of like get our beef out there with people, but just making sure that I'm entering this conversation because I'm now ready, prepared emotionally, spiritually, and cognitively to know like actually what you want to say, to again seek that reconciliation piece. There's always a goal to conflict. It's not just airing it out to everyone. It's okay, let's figure out what the issue is, let's understand where each other's coming from, and let's come to a middle ground, because bad conflict is going to be a situation where again you're not articulating well, you're in it to win it, and that's just really unhealthy. So there's typically, I'm going to ramble for a second, kind of like 5 conflict styles just to be aware of. One is avoiding. How many of you would say I'm kind of an avoider? I don't like conflict, kind of avoid. Okay. All right. That's kind of normal for a lot of people, but a lot of it's because I don't know what to do. You know, I kind of like get stuck. Okay, so that avoiding is one where you're just, I'm going to try to get out of this at all cost. The next one is accommodating, where it's like, I know there's conflict, but whatever you think is good, I'm with it. Okay, I'm going to do that because that's good. I'm going to accommodate to you. The next one is collaborating. Okay, you're going to come together. You're going to try to collaborate solutions. There's also compromising, where we're both going to give. All right, and then there's that competing viewpoint, where I'm here to win. So even understanding where you're coming from in that, I'm a classic collaborator, right? Take this. I'm just kidding. No, but I've gotten to a point where it's just like, okay, I really want to hear what's going on. Even like our working relationship, you know, our team, sometimes it's not always us in conflict, but sometimes there's teams going around, there's misunderstandings, and so it's us coming together because we're both collaborative in how we deal with one another. There's an underlying appreciation and care for one another as friends and as coworkers, where we're just going to talk about it, okay, and then help our teams figure out the rest. And so again, there's the collaborative piece that happens, because if you have a competitor and you have an avoider, guess what? That avoider's going to lose every time. And that's unhealthy conflict. Everybody needs to be willing to, again, kind of meet in the middle, come together, understand, and have a goal.